Well, hey there team, welcome back to the channel and welcome to Borderlands 4. This is the game we're having a look at today on the channel. I generally do overviews, I just look at the opening hours of a game. Bit of an exception here. I've put a bit of time into this, about 6 or 7 hours. In the scheme of things, that's probably, still fairly surface level. This game is an open worldification of the Borderlands universe. It is very much a content heavy experience and dozens of hours to be had. But having said all of that, from the time I've put into it, I've got an idea of what's going on here and I can tell you as such. I won't beat around the bush. There is a good game in here, under the hood, buried under a whole bunch of crap that's in the way. But like the mechanical gunplay, the moment-to-moment fun, and the new stuff that they've implemented, you use like a grapple hook to get around and a glide and the open world experience. Like for the most part, old and new mechanical fundamentals, it's very solid. Even though I haven't played Destiny in forever, I still forever use that as a high watermark for strong gunplay, regardless of what you think of peripheral stuff in that series. And that's how this feels. The guns are punchy and fun. However, like Time to Kill and all that's very, very different. It is that bullet sponge RPG, but in a first-person shooter type way. Like, so you'll mag dump 600 bullets into a dude's head and he still won't die. And that's always been a Borderlands thing. I doubt you're going to change your mind if you were ever miffed about something like that. But yeah, that's part one. There is a good game underneath. However, this comes part and parcel with all the Borderlands humor, right? And that's been through a whole bunch of a roller coaster over time. I wouldn't necessarily say I'm a big Borderlands fan. However, I played 1 and 2 quite a bit, right? I still remember playing 2, I think at the end game where you're versing like raid bosses, and I'd had 4 blokes and all of us were like co-op and had our different characters selected and your job to do, and it actually got quite sweaty. And the promise of that is here, though I can't really speak to the end game, but that's part of what keeps me going and playing this more, is I'm curious where it's going. I've paired up with one of my mates who is an absolute Borderlands nut, and I thought, look, if I'm going to give this game a go, because I forked out for it, whatever, bloody $120, quadruple A gaming. But I figured if I was going to give this a go, and I already have my reservations against a lot of the humor and that in this, I might as well jump in with a dude that's actually kind of sweats for the series. And I feel a bit bad for him as well, because as fun as the gunplay is, my moaning and groaning about all the writing and humor, I hope I didn't wear him down and hurt his and hurt the way that he feels about his, favorite series. Because yeah, all that stuff's in here and it's fucking terrible. Like, there's no dancing around it. Again, I know I went off track a little bit. The humor in number 1 wasn't so bad. In fact, I went back and played like a Game of the Year version of number 1 a few months ago. I was going to make a video, but for whatever reason I got busy. Some of the humor in that still had a bit of bite. Like, it's still kind of cringe, you look back on it, but you got Scooter and he's talking about how his mum's loose. So throw a hot dog down a corridor, sort of, that sort of juvenile joke. But again, had a bit of fangs to it. You jump forward to current day, you're not going to get any humor like that at all. It's all very safe for work. I really don't know what else to call it. What it feels like is a 2-stage corporate humor, in that, I don't know if you've ever been in a corporate environment when they try and cringe and awkwardly, I don't know, let's play a word game, or you're on a Teams call or whatever, let's all, someone share a joke or whatever. And here's the thing, the real people that are just there to do their job and probably actually have a sense of humor and find dick jokes and all that kind of funny on occasion, right? They're going to shut the fuck up, because we've all been taught that you're going to go to HR if you tell a dick joke in this environment. So no one says anything funny except that one kid in the corner that was a theater kid that thinks they're fucking hilarious, and they've got this safe for work cringe, no one thinks it's funny, but at least no one's going to HR kind of humor. And so then they get spotlighted, and thus begins a feedback loop of them probably doing jokes every week or every stand-up or whatever, and now you're just feeding a beast that shouldn't be. That's how this feels. The humor in here is written by people that think they are hilarious because no one around them said shit, because no one wanted to lose their job, and all it did over the X years of development was create a hungry beast that fed itself, and they just kept putting more and more in. And it's painfully unfunny. You got Claptrap, of course you got Claptrap, the most insufferable part of Borderlands, and he's in here making consent jokes within the first half hour. And I even lamented to my mate, like I was like, if there was teeth in it, like if you had, let's say, all the good guys with their insufferable, safe for work humor, but then maybe you had the like bandit dudes, right, being so incredibly unhinged, censorably vulgar. Like maybe you could strike a balance there. Like, I would find that funny if they were just so, I don't know, racist and sex jokes and everything like that. Like if you made the bandits so uncomfortably, awfully, offensively just bad jokes, and then you made Claptrap and all that, this HR bloody safe for work humor, I reckon that imposition on two sides of the coin would be actually fucking hilarious. But even I'm not allowed to say that. But I said it, stuff it, it's my channel. I mean, you come up against this dude, the leader of the resistance, he's like a Roland stand-in, and he is the most, wet Karen, gotta wear gumboots so they don't slip over, vampire, sparkly fantasy stand-in, this gigantic, muscular, really charming black dude that all he really talks about is protein bars and keeping hydrated and like all his G-rated jokes, and all you can feel when this dude walks in is a writer's room of 40-year-old cat ladies just flicking themselves and thinking this dude is the hottest thing to go. And here we are, the customers, the absolute antithesis, polar opposite of that target audience, sitting through this shit rolling our eyes. So yeah, it's crap. It's terrible writing. I went a black poet youth main character because no one on my friends list was that character, so I went her, and she's popping off all the voice lines that you would probably expect, But she's a scientist, she's an engineer, which is what we would expect, of course. I will say her gimmick ability, which is like throwing a lantern. It sounds dumb, and I joked to my mate about it, like, who wants to do what in the party? You can be the tank, you can be the spellcaster. Here, you can hold the fucking lantern. So, like, it feels like that at first, but then I started pumping stats into it, and it's making radiation bursts, and he can pick it up and throw it again, and it gives off shields as well, and buffs, and it is actually a fun action ability to play with, in contrast to the normal, I don't know, bloody throwing an axe or going into rage mode or dropping a turret, right? So it was kind of different. So as much as I hated that character and everyone that spoke in that game, I found the mechanics to be interesting and engaging. I will say, as much as I've bashed this game, and I did say there's something underneath, like it's fun to play moment to moment, and this might just be a Borderlands trait because I haven't really examined it in years, but I like the idea of the modular guns and, the more I looked into it, because I had to go into wikis from previous games because the game is just not forthcoming with information. But like all the different parts, it's not so much that they're modular for you. You don't have the fidelity to change any of this, but there's different magazines and pistol grips and scopes and barrels, right? And that's all good and well. However, the game just does not serve up any statistics so as to go and compare A to B and try and understand what's what. Like, I managed to get two close weapons and they visibly have a different magazine capacity. Like, one had a huge barrel magazine and it was +2 bullets or whatever. But all of this information you have to sort of just divine out yourself. And then you mix in the fact that you have very limited inventory management and bank space, and the scoop up loot mechanic that you got left behind and puts in a new vault, that seems to be broken as well. It's only really picking up whites and greens. And what I'm kind of getting at is I want to play with what is clearly a complex and interesting modular weapons system, but it is so cagey about giving you any information that it really turns me off of engaging with it full stop as someone with that more technical mind. Like, I want to see the stats, I want to understand what this barrel does different, but a lot of it is just guesstimating. You know, they've got some interesting stuff as the levels go up where you can get different parts from different companies. They're like licensed across. I think that's a gimmick for this game, and that's cool and all, but again, it just creates more like arcane information that you just can't really navigate very easily. And again, the order of elimination of someone with my mind that goes, okay, right, well, what are we going to do? I'm going to start collecting sniper rifles of this particular brand and trying to put them in my storage to compare them. But then you level up so fast that the value equivalency leapfrogs so fast. So it's very hard to just go compare this gun to that gun when they're 7 levels apart, so their stats aren't really equivocal anyway because of scaling. Anyway, it's just infuriating. It's like, game, I love that you've got an interesting system under the hood, and I really want to play with it and understand it, but fuck me, you're doing everything you can between poor UI, poor information, poor inventory management, poor backpack space and vault space, all of that, and the fiddliness of it. In the end, all I really started doing was just throwing shit on the ground and replacing it with whatever had a higher dollar value. Oh, this is a $2,000 gun. This is a $2,200 gun, right? Well, we're going to pick that one up and we're going to swap it. And you know, the guns are cool and great, but that's as far as I really interact with the system now, because it's such an embuggerance to even try and engage with and understand and have fun with it. Anyway, that's my overview of Borderlands 4. It's disappointing in the worst way possible, right? It's easy to pay something off where it's bloody corporate humor and just being dog shit and all that, but the real thing that hurts my soul is that there's something of an alright game under there, maybe even a great game, but they've buried it under so many layers of just fiddly shit that gets in your way that it becomes a slog to play. Oh, I will say real quickly on performance. Now, I'm no expert on performance. In some recent videos, I have been running into a lot of the stutter problems that UE5, everyone purports to, right? For so long, I've never really noticed them or been immune to it or whatever, and nowadays, it's obvious, right? Now, I'm no expert, but this is my anecdotal experience. In a previous title, I finally cracked the shits. I went down a YouTube rabbit hole and I looked into some really weird peripheral stuff, in that it seems like for some people, and in, you know, spoilers, in my case, it was for me, that something happens when UE5 engine titles are running and they must just be talking to other parts of your computer, and that's where the stutters are coming from. At least they were for me. So I aggressively disabled every USB, everything, every power saving mode. If you go into device manager into USB things and go deeper, you can probably look this up. This is not my expertise, but I found that just disabling all this peripheral shit worked. I also disabled all Bluetooth, all Wi-Fi, because I've got my computer hardwired into Ethernet. I understand that's not necessary for everyone, but by doing that and just going scorched earth and just really disabling a lot of peripheral crap on my computer, every Unreal Engine game I have played since then, there's been multiple games, I think Chronos New Dawn, I'd have to check that, but that, I haven't done a video on that, but all of them running at bloody ultra. I'm not dropping any frames, I'm not getting any stutters or anything like that. So look, don't get me wrong, I'm sure Unreal Engine 5 has its problems for sure, right? It's so widely purported, but I really do wonder if there are more people like me than we realize, that they've just got a shitload of USB dongles and attachments and crap hanging out of their computer that for some reason decide to talk to the game instance and start creating stutters when they try and handshake constantly. Anyway, that fixed it for me. I'll stick it here at the end of the video. Have a look into it and drop a comment if, if you disagree with me, that's fine, but like maybe you go down that rabbit hole and you find that that helps. That'd be cool to hear about. Anyway, this video's going on too long for a game that I don't like, so let's fucking finish it there. Goodbye.